Hey everybody, nope. Interesting song. What songs I sing? We're gonna read a book, it's gonna have a look at the rules inside and the things that you can find. Let's jump into another GMG review. It's Warzone Nachmund, Vigilus alone, a Warhammer 40,000 book review. Big thanks to Games Workshop sending this along as a complimentary review copy. And we're going to be having a look today at this first book in this season's event pack for the Nachmund Warzone, which is sort of the place Abaddon's up to no good. So what do we got in here? Well, we've got a bunch of stuff, particularly, of course, a relaunch, rebrand for Chaos, and the Vanguard Space Marines, the coolest of Space Marines, who've unfortunately just not really, they haven't really been front and center in the rules for a while. So Abaddon's up to no good. Things are basically being taken over in the Nachmund Rift. The Cicatrix Maledictorum is, you know, the big thing that ripped the galaxy in half. It's kind of like a new Eye of Terror, big scar across the galaxy. And the Nachmund Gauntlet is this little stretch in between. It's a little archipelago. An archipelago doesn't go all the way through. It's like a land bridge through the Cicatrix that links Holy Terra and the Imperium with, you know, everything on the other side. So Vigilus is the Bastion world, holding it all back, and of course, all kinds of evil, chaos-y stuff is pouring in to blow it up, and it's all gone terribly wrong on the inside. The Vigilus system itself, a nice little detailed map of it. The Bastion world basically holding the door as it is, and things didn't go well. If you don't remember the last Vigilus campaign book, Vigilus lost. The Imperium's not doing great there, but of course, with Faith and Inquisitors and Sisters of Battle, they're hoping to take it back and send in all their forces to do so. So what's in here? Well, we got some new rules. We got a campaign system, and that campaign system, and this is the coolest part, actually came with a map. Yes, a campaign map. Tracking basically each of the areas of the campaign and how you doing in them. It's basically a push-pull campaign where as you score points, you go up and down the tracker. So when they are in the center here, the three areas, you have Vigilus, Dawntoria, and Stormval on it, and then the moon of Hearthlak, which is the third one. They start contested in the middle, and they either become Chaos Ascendant or Imperium in control as you go through. So these three areas, obviously, if you get 2 out of 3 under your control, you've ostensibly won the campaign. If you stay gridlocked in the middle, then of course the war just grinds on forever. I love that. I love that it came with an accessory, basically, to track how you're doing. And I will say these books are clearly designed with like the gaming club or the store club or the at-home basement club in mind, because these are participation events. So this like section of the book is given over to group activity, playing Warhammer in like a monitored sort of setting. So a league almost style setting. You have the campaign master. Different ways to do it, different ways you could ally the different armies on the two sides versus Chaos and the Imperium, you know what I mean? So you have the Eldar trying to maintain balance, you could have the Tau trying to disrupt the Imperium by joining forces with Chaos. All kinds of things could happen to make your personal gaming clever group make sense. And then how to actually run the campaign. So where it starts contested, as you play through the different campaign phases, when you play missions, they become worth points, and each win, lose, or draw adds to your alliance, and of course pushes you in that area. You then can also play in the different theaters, and each of the theaters, Dawntoria and Stormval, have their own different sort of abilities. So whenever you play a game, on top of the normal like plan for the game, if you play on Dawntoria, for instance, there's rampant corruption everywhere. The Hive Sprawls endured lots of time under the malignant grip of Chaos. Once per turn during a Chaos Alliance player's command phase, that player can select one Imperial Alliance unit that's not within the player's deployment zone and roll a die. On a 2+, they take a mortal wound. Until the start of the Alliance player's next turn, subtract 2 from their leadership. So basically the place is all chaosy and scary. But also Burning Conviction. Once per turn when an Imperial Alliance unit within 6 of an enemy unit is selected to shoot or fight, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. So once per turn up close, the Living Saint just inspires them. So you might be taking mortal wounds and having your leadership reduced, but you're also fighting extra hard because you know that like this is your last chance, basically. And each of them has that kind of thing. So like Hearthlak has Imperial players get bonus to their combat attrition, and then Chaos Alliance players get +1 to hit when they make attacks against characters. And then the store belt one just has tectonic instability. Everybody suffers from the fact that the world is exploding. You get your legendary mission. So if you watched us play through the Warzone Octarius campaign, it was super fun. We played match play. All of the campaign trees end in a legendary mission. This is the one for that area. You get the Crowning of Storval, the Corruption of Hearthlack. So each of the three of them has their own kind of like final chapter. And then if you're playing it with a Crusade mission, and of course, this is going to dovetail nicely. You can see a review for this today too with the Wars of Faith Crusade pack for playing like a, I guess a faith-inspired campaign, a Holy Crusade, if you will. You get additional stuff just for this area. So like Crusade Lux, if you're playing Imperial Alliance, you can get the Light of Dontoria. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy units within 3 of the bearer, and you can add 1 of the results if the unit's a Chaos unit, and 2 if it's a Demon unit, on a 6-tick mortal wound. So basically, it's like a big, it's Celestine's like lantern, and you shine it on them, and the more chaosy and corrupted they are, the more it burns them and like screws them up. So it's a neat campaign system. I love it as like a ladder system, and it follows the same sort of like tree structure or you know, pick up and play structure as the whatchamacallit, the ones from Octarius did. Now you're also going to have additional Crusade rules for Armies of Faith, and I'm not super sure why these aren't in the War of Faith mission pack, but if you muster an Army of Faith for your Crusades, you get additional things that you can do for your abilities and stuff and your agendas. Like you can pick different like basically feats to accomplish during the game, and then they get you different rewards for experience or for your items or for your relics and artifacts and stuff too. So I just wanted to, I'm skipping to the end there a little bit because we're talking about campaigns and Crusades. And then on top of that, for each of those campaign sections, you get different battle zones too. You get the Frontierist one, which allows you to have different atmospheric effects. So the idea is here you're playing on the moon or a frontier planet, and it gives you terrain traits now for all of the 4 new, I guess, terrain pieces that I love these. They're some of it, like, they're simple. I think that's what I love the most about them. They're simple and look like they're out of the movie Aliens. Like, this looks like Hadley's Hope kind of stuff. And so much of the Imperium, like, terrain is sort of given over to this vaunted architecture that's, like, glorifying saints and covered in eagles and stuff. There, 90% of people that live out there in the sprawl, they're going to be living in something like this. It's some STC prefab, you know what I mean, has 1 skull and 1 eagle on it, kind of like piece of technology. I love that they made these. I hope they make more of this. The STC Hab Bunker, for instance. Yeah, they're going to all look the same because they're spit out of the same template. And that stuff's at the end, but it's more stuff that they put in here to theme that campaign. So then we're into army rules, and you've got, first of all, data sheets and an army of renown for the Vanguard Space Marines. Now, the data sheets aren't specifically Vanguard. In fact, they can't even be used with the Vanguard. They're just updating the Gravis Captain and the Ancient. So it's mostly just equipment changes. Gravis guy basically gets to pick another hand. So he has his Bullstorm Gauntlet, and then he always has his offhand, and it's either a Power Fist, a Power Sword, or a Chain Sword. And that gives you Gravis fighting styles. So if you're equipped with this Chain Sword, you get 2 extra attacks with that weapon. If you're equipped with a Power Sword, you get 2 extra attacks with that weapon. If the bearer is equipped with a Power Fist, you get 1 additional attack with that weapon. So basically, your offhand makes 1 extra attack. So even if you have Power Fist Bullstorm Gauntlet, you're getting 6 attacks with the Power Fist, 7 with Shock Assault. And then if you've got a Power Sword, you're getting 5 with the Gauntlet, 2 with the Power Sword. And they're extra attacks just with that weapon profile. So it just means that if you build this guy however you want to build him, he's going to have some kind of a benefit to go along with it. Primaris Ancient, basically the same. Gets the Wolfguard trait, has his chapter aura, and doesn't, you know, these are 2 models that came in Dark Imperium that haven't really been released since then. So it's nice that they have them separately. Gravis guy's 120, and then Primaris Ancient's 80 points, 5 if you want to give him a Power Sword. And we're into the Vanguard stuff. The Army of Renown. Okay, so Armies of Renown, if you haven't played with them before, basically they're an army list style where you accept a certain restriction for a certain benefit. So in this one, it's all themed around the Phobos armor guys, but also the Suppressor Squad, Invictor Tactical Warsuit, and Impulsor units. And you can't use Deathwatch. You can't have a Deathwatch Vanguard Spearhead. I was this close to, I was like, oh, I could go get that Vanguard Combat Patrol because it's just all the stuff from Shadow Spear. And that would work great with my Deathwatch. And then in the fucking, I was like, no, why? The Deathwatch is supposed to be like the Special Forces Marines. Like, let me have sneaky Deathwatch. Like, sneaking into a Gene Stealer. Anyway, maybe there's just it would be too good or something, but you're not allowed. I'm disappointed. So all the units in your army gain the Vanguard Spearhead keyword. You have access to the Vanguard Spearhead chapter relics, stratagems, tools, and Vanguard. And then your Vanguard Spearhead units in your army gain the Vanguard Operations ability, which is down here. On top of that, your Incursor squads, Infiltrator squads, and Reaver squads gain OBSEC. So Reavers, finally something for Reavers. Poor Reavers. Reavers have been, since the game launched, one of the coolest looking units that's just never really found a home on the table. They're just, and especially since the Intercessor Assault Squad came out, which was just way better Reavers. I want them to be good so bad. And they kind of get good in here, which is neat. So if you get the Vanguard Operations trait, you never gain a chapter tactic. So whatever your chapter tactic is, you don't get one. So whatever color you painted your army, you can't use a chapter tactic. Each time a range attack is made against a unit with this ability, if you're over 18, you're in light cover. And each time an infantry unit with this ability is selected to make a normal move, if every model in that unit ends the move at least 4 from where it started, until the end of the turn, each model in that unit is -1 to hit. So as long as you're always moving and you move at least 4, you're -1 to hit, which is neat because it's not tied to range like some of those things are. And if you're out from 18, you're in light cover. And then when you consolidate, you move 6 instead of 3 all the time. So they are silly fast and also -1 to hit as long as they stay fast. They get their own relics. They get the Knight's Blade, replaces a combat knife. So finally that sweet combat knife captain can get something cool. Or even your knife fighter lieutenant. It's user strength -3 AP, 2 damage. Doesn't sound great, this user strength, until you see if the attack's made against someone who's on a vehicle, you always win on a 2+. So he's just extra stabby. His shank is the best sharpened toothbrush in the whole bowl. The Umbral Armor. So Vanguard Spearhead only. 1 to 3s miss all the time. And the bear's eligible to charge even when they advance. So you have basically transhuman for rolls to hit. The best you can be hit on is a 4+. That's way better than -1 to hit. Then you have Shadow's Touch. It's basically a 4 sword. It's +3 strength, -4 AP, and 2 damage. But if you manifest any powers from the Obscuration Discipline until your next psychic phase, no invuls against it. So yeah, -4 save, no invuls, and your strength 7. As long as you manifest 1 power, that's kind of legit. I mean, you're a librarian, so you're not the best, but still cool. And then Morbidus Boats. If you have a bolt weapon, you can make 1 roll to hit, and if it hits, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds. And until the end of the turn, it's -1 to combat attrition tests. And you can choose the Morbidus round basically instead of making your normal attacks with that bolt weapon. And that's it. Those are your relics. Tools of the Vanguard. So all of your squads, well actually all your squads, your troop squads, your infiltrators and incursors get additional upgrade options. So your infiltrators, if they don't take a, a Vox, a Helix Gauntlet or Infiltrator Comm Array, they can take either a Zabatur Explosive Pack or a Vox Breaker Auspex. Now all that does is give them the keyword, which gives them access to these following things, which is stratagems equipped like right to them. And then your Incursor squad, if they are not equipped with a Haywire Mind, then you can have a Marksman Target Tracker, which gives you that keyword instead. Get your own stratagems. Storm of Death. So here's the Make Reavers Great Again stratagem. It's 1 CP using the fight phase when a Vanguard Reaver squad is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, if they target infantries or bikers, a modified wound roll of 6 does a mortal wound in addition to normal damage, up to maximum of 6. So you get super knifey. You play knifey spoony as hard as you can, and you can get up to 6 mortal wounds. Cool. I mean, it's good. It's 6s to wound mortal wounds. They get a lot of attacks. You might be able to poop some mortal wounds out of people. I would have just not capped it if you really wanted to make them good. You're probably not likely to get to 6. Send a lieutenant. Fish for 6s on the reroll ones. I mean, yeah, it's still cool. Ocular Networking. So this is for the Vanguard Spearhead units in your army when they shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets a monster or a vehicle, a modified wound roll of 6 improves your AP by 2. So basically you're shooting for the weak spots on monsters and vehicles. 2 CPs for dispersal protocols. At the end of the fight phase, select a Vanguard Spearhead unit that's in engagement range. They can fall back as a movement phase. So that's 2 CPs, but kind of cool actually. You can hold something up, and then as soon as you're done fighting, and it's the end of that fight phase, and it's your opponent's turn next, because it's end of the fight phase, not your fight phase, you can fall back so that you can shoot during your next turn, and it's a fallback in your opponent's turn. So that one could be very, very useful, because your Invictor Warsuits can do it. Anyone who's a Vanguard Spearhead unit can do it. Your Impulsor can do it, like your characters can all do it. 1 CP for a Saboteur Explosive Pack. Now, if you have the Saboteur Explosive Pack keyword, use a stratagem when a Saboteur Explosive Pack unit from your army is selected to fall back. Before they move, select one vehicle or monster they were engaged with and roll a d6, adding 3 if you're a building. On a 2 to 5, the enemy takes d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, they take d6 mortal wounds because you throw the dead pack at them as you go. Voxbreaker Assaults. This is for the Voxbreaker keywords, 1 CP. Using the command phase, select one enemy unit within 18 of the Voxbreaker Assault unit from your army, and until the start of your next turn, they are -1 to hit. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack. And if the enemy unit declares a charge, you can select one unit from your army that is target of that charge to hold steady or set to defend. You basically just like make them all distracted. The Marksman Target Tractor for this keyword's 2 CPs. Use stratagem in your shooting phase when they're selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time you select a target for an Oculus Bolt Carbine or model in that unit, you ignore Lookout Sir. So basically, the Lookout Sir goes away for that unit's shooting. Pretty nice. Tactical Augury, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Vanguard Spearhead unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, the target doesn't get cover. And then finally, this is the big one. This is the one that makes your eliminators pretty good. 2 CPs. Pivotal Moment. Use it in your shooting phase when a Vanguard Spearhead unit is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time they target an enemy warlord, a successful wound roll inflicts a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon, and the attack sequence ends. So you dial up your eliminators, use the mortis rounds, and then if you just wound, then they take mortal wounds. And that's it. So that's pretty cool. That's for hunting lowercase warlords, that's a big deal. And then you can use the Obscurus Discipline even to make them not be targetable unless they're the closest target. Like have your librarian hang out near them, have them sit in the back like way far away because they have a super long range up high somewhere. Make them not targetable unless they're closest, and then just keep blasting mortal wounds and slowly picking away at any warlord. So I mean, that's pretty cool for wearing down those, per phase warlords like Ghazghkull, Nightbringer, any of the C'tans actually, Abaddon. Just putting mortal wounds on them kind of like grindingly. And then the fact that you can fall back during your opponent's turn too to clear the way for them. It's not a power army, but it's a combo you can play. And that's it. That's what the Vanguard get. And then it's Codex Supplement Order of the Bloody Rose. This is your selectable keyword for match play for the Sisters of Battle. If you pick Bloody Rose, then in addition to the benefits in the Codex, your Bloody Rose character model can be your Warlord and gain the following Warlord trait. They get either Fiery Example. When they make a melee attack against a character, they get +1 to wound. And each time the Warlord destroys an enemy character, you get 2 Miracle Dice. That's pretty cool. Incandescent Reprisal. When you lose a wound, you get a 5+ wound shrug once per phase. After enemy shoots or fights, if this warlord suffered any wounds, if they're engagement range of an enemy unit, this warlord can shoot with one range. Sorry, if they're not in engagement range, they can shoot. It can only target the unit that was doing so. If the warlord was in engagement range of the enemy unit and they haven't fought yet, then they can immediately fight. But they can only target the unit that attacked them. So basically, they get super mad and they fight back at whoever shot them or attacked them. And then Red-Handed Castigator. Each time you gain a miracle die at the end of the phase as a result of the Vengeance ability, if this warlord destroyed any enemy units, then it's automatically a 6. And each time this warlord makes a melee attack, if this warlord made a charge move, charger was performing a heroic intervention, they can reroll the hit rolls. So reroll hits and a 6 on your miracle dice, 5+ wound shrug and shoot or fight back, and then Fire Example, 2 miracle dice for killing characters and +1 to wound characters. Relics, you get Mina's Wrath. It's a power sword, +2/-3/2 damage, and each time you make an attack with it, unmodified wounds of 6 just do 2 mortal wounds. So for your high attack count models, that's pretty cool. Armor of True Sacrifice. It's a 2+ save, and if you lose one or more wounds during a phase, you get a miracle die. And the Icon of the Crimson Martyr. Add one of the bearer's wounds, and the bearer's Litany of Deeds ability has the following additional tail with a martyr. At the end of any phase, other than the morale phase, in which any friendly Order of the Bloody Rose core units that were within 6 of this bearer were destroyed, you gain a miracle dice. And this is in addition to any miracle dice gained when a character's unit was destroyed. And then you get your own additional 8 stratagems, which is kind of cool. So Scourge of the Penitent for 1 or 2, use a stratagem in your command phase, select an Order of the Bloody Rose Repentia Superior model from your army, and 1 Sisters Repentia unit within 6. Until the end of the turn, add 1 to charge rolls. If the Sisters unit is 5 or fewer, it's 1, otherwise it's 2. So +1 to charge for 1 or 2 CPs. Wade into the foe for your Paragon Warsuits until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that contains 6 or more models, an unmodified hit roll of 4+ scores an additional hit. So when you're in melee, basically your force to hit or explode as long as you're attacking 6 or more models, which is pretty cool for Paragon Warsuits. Clear the flanks for 1 CP. Use strat at the start of your shooting phase. Select 1 enemy unit within 6 of a battlefield edge that is not up on a player's edge. Until the end of the phase, each time an Order of the Bloody Rose model makes an attack with a heavy weapon that targets that unit, reroll wound rolls of 1. So basically, if someone's coming along the side, they're within 6 for 1 CP. I mean, it's kind of situational, but reroll 1 to wound against them. 1 for Outrage of the Matriarch, using the fight phase when a character model from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time that model makes an attack that targets an enemy model with a wound characteristic that's higher than its, add 1 to wound, and on an unmodified roll of 6, improve the armor penetration by 2. So basically you, you hulk up, and even though you're the little guy, you fight harder. Carry forth the faithful, we'll call that one the Ric Flair. You're not as big as they are, but you got spirit. Carry forth the faithful for 1 CP or 2 CPs. Use stratagem at the start of the first battle round. Before the first turn begins, select 1 Order of the Bloody Rose transport model from your army that has any models embarked upon it. It cannot be a model that has any Dominion squad models embarked in it. That model can make a normal move as if it was the movement phase, but must end more than 9 from the enemy. If both players have units that can move before the first turn, then you roll the... Sorry, the person who's going first will move their unit first. If a Retributor squad or Sister Pensius squad is embarked inside the transport, it costs 2. Otherwise, it costs 1, and you only do this once. So basically, shove your shooters or your close combat fighters up before the game begins. 1 or 2 CBs for Fueled by Rage, using your opponent's shooting phase when an Order of the Bloody Rose core unit from your army is selected as a target of a ranged attack. Until the end of the phase, each time you have a model destroyed in that unit, roll a d6 on a 4+, don't remove them from play. It can, after it's done doing your attacks, they can shoot as if it was a shooting phase. If it's a Retributor squad, it costs 2, otherwise it costs 1. So basically you get the banner ability from the Space Marines for some CPs. Catechism of Wrathful Defiance for 1 or 2. Use this in your command phase. Select 1 Order of the Bloody Rose infantry unit from your army until the next command phase. That unit gains the following ability. Wrathful Defiance. While an enemy unit's within 6 of this unit, each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack that targets this unit, it's -1 to hit. And if it has 11 or more models, you're 2 CPs, otherwise 1. And then it's Savage Twist is the last one. Use stratagem in the fight phase when an Order of the Bloody Rose infantry unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack with a melee weapon, excluding a close combat weapon, unmodified wound roll of 6 on an unmodified wound roll of 6, increase the damage of that attack by 1. So until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack with a melee weapon, excluding a close combat weapon. So basically you can't use your naked attacks for it, you have to use... So I guess like that means the regular Battle Sisters can't do it. You have to be armed with a melee weapon because you can't use the close combat weapon, which is in the core rules. The close combat weapon is if you don't have a melee weapon on your data card, you're equipped with a close combat weapon, which just means like your fists or a knife or a brick you pick up off the ground. So this is saying that you can do it if you have a melee weapon on your stat line. So like Repentia could do it, characters could do it. Yeah, anybody else could do it that isn't, I think, the Battle Sisters, because they don't have a melee weapon. They just have bolters and bolt pistols, maybe, or bolt pistols and frag grenades, or bolters and frag grenades. So it's weirdly Xing out units that have close combat weapons and not melee weapons on their profile. So you get +1 damage then. And that's it. Nice color section for the Order of the Bloody Rose, fighting Gellerpox and fighting Genestealer cults and fighting orcs. And we're into the Crusade rules. So we already looked at that stuff. The Banners of Renown, Army of Faith. So things you can have a banner in your army. So on your data card, your banner can be extra cool, and it gets extra abilities and stuff. You can upgrade your banner, which I think is cool because like one of the things that you don't really do with your banners in a 40k game is do what you would do with a banner in real life, which is add stuff to it, write down like the things that happened. These rules are kind of encouraging you to do that because you can add abilities to them, like the Aquila of Spiritual Fury. Your core units within 6, when they roll a 6 to hit unmodified, they get +1 of their strength characteristic in melee, and their AP goes up to 1, improved by combat doctrine. So like, these are all based on different armies. So the like chapter core units can have this one, Glorious Finale, this one's chapter core. So like, it's just a different like, a bunch of abilities for your chapter ancient, which I think is cool because they re-released the model. They're encouraging you to use them in Crusade. And then the Army of Faith special rules. So when you're crusading with the Army of Faith, your different stages of fervor. So as you go on your Holy Crusade, the things that you want to do, like finding a relic is an agenda. You get to add, when you have faith in the Emperor, if you have faith, you get to add one to your leadership. And each time a unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, reroll 1 hit roll. So the faith actually works, and then you can try and channel all of those different agendas and stuff to do it. And that's it. And there's the battle zone stuff that we already looked at. So there it is, a look at Vigilus alone. So what you have is you have a campaign sort of like system, like a league play system, and then 2 new Armies of Renown. Well, 1 actually Codex supplement, which is the Bloody Rose stuff, and then Army of Renown for the Vanguard. Try and bring them into the spotlight. What do I think? I love that they did something for the Vanguard. They are the coolest miniatures. I think that the Vanguard Librarian might be, the Phobos Librarian might be the coolest Space Marine miniature period of like later edition 40k since the Primaris. He's the coolest. He is by far the coolest Primaris Marine ever sculpted. Fight me. He's badass in every way. I want him to be amazing. I want him to be good. This adds a bunch, but like, I think that the restrictions outweigh the benefits. Obviously, if you're just taking all these units for these like, you know, bonuses to hit characters and stuff like that, I don't think that a mixed army of just the Vanguard stuff with Impulsors and Invictor Warships is going to be very good. But it could be fun, and I want to play a 1,000-point game of it and see how it does. Yeah, and I want Reavers to be great, because again, they're some of the coolest infantry models from Dark Imperium. They just aren't. They aren't that good in the game at like the 2,000 point, 60 by 44 scale. But I think this army could be a lot of fun in my preferred game size, which is Incursion, 1,000 points on a smaller table, 30 by 44. So maybe I'll pick up that. I've already got it painted in Space Wolves colors, so I could just play with it. But maybe I'll pick up the Spearhead again and paint them as Ultramarines, because I would like to paint those models again. They are super cool. They're so nice. I'm just bummed I can't paint them as Deathwatch, because I feel like they would be the Special Forces of Special Forces. So anyway, again, a fun add-on thing. I think that the hard thing with these books for people is they're split in half. Half of it is League and campaign rules, like a fun event pack, and the other half is, and like Crusade stuff, and the other half is these like serious, like potentially match play rules that like add to armies. So it feels like it has a very divided audience, and those audiences' Venn diagrams don't overlap that much. I would love to see more specialist attachments as opposed to Armies of Renown and Codex supplements, or just more Armies of Renown, because again, I don't think they're particularly tournament play EE, and special attachments that you don't use in match play in here, because then I think you're dialing in the Venn diagram a bit more, not having it be quite so far apart. But I love the fact that it came with a map. I think that's super cool. I think that now that the world is kind of reopening, this kind of stuff and like letting stores do leagues and things is going to catch on. It's going to be super fun. I hope Games Workshop supports that in their events and stuff too, just like the Warhammer World Campaign weekends where you come in and just over the course of, 4 games with 100 people play through this whole campaign. I think that's where the power of this stuff lies. And I feel like they're stepping closer to making these books, fit the customer that they're aimed at, basically, which is someone who's excited about telling a story and making a cool bespoke army, but not necessarily going and like hammering out, tournament games for 16 hours in a weekend or something like that. Anyway, there it is. Big thanks for watching. I'll see you for my next GMG review. There's a couple more up today. Till then, I'm Ash. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching. It really does help out, and happy gaming.